Westworld is arguably one of the most popular shows on HBO at the moment. Based on the 1973 film of the same name, which was written and directed by Jurassic Park author and co-screenwriter Michael Crichton, the Emmy-winning television series centers on android hosts in a futuristic amusement park who are not allowed to harm the wealthy guests that are in turn allowed to harm them. However, the hosts eventually rebel, and some of them even make it into the real world. While you wait for the highly anticipated fourth season of Westworld, here are some sci-fi and fantasy shows to watch in the meantime. Keep in mind there are many series similar to Westworld in one way or another, so we've narrowed it down to just 7 for this list. Altered Carbon, 2018 to 2020. Netflix cyberpunk series Altered Carbon isn't the exact same as Westworld, but it will surely please fans of the latter. Adapted from the 2002 novel by Richard K. Morgan, this streaming series is set in a distant future where a person's memories and consciousness are placed in a little device called a stack, so if they die, their stack can be put into a new body, or sleeve, for a hefty price. The first season sees the stack of Takashi Kovacs, Joel Kinnaman, being taken out of prison and put into a new sleeve so that he can solve a murder. The second season jumps 30 years later and recasts Anthony Mackie as Kovacs, who is now looking for his long-lost love Quelchrist Falconer, Renee Lees Goldsberry. Even though it's not a Western, Altered Carbon is similar to Westworld in that both shows feature stunning visuals and engaging action set pieces while also including themes and messages about what it means to be human. They both also have a high amount of sex and violence. Altered Carbon only lasted for 2 seasons, but it's still worth the watch. Black Mirror, 2011 present. The British anthology series Black Mirror is like Westworld in more ways than one. Often described as a modern-day Twilight Zone, almost every episode of Black Mirror uses futuristic technologies such as rating systems, cloning, and child monitoring devices to comment on real-world issues such as social status, grief, and helicopter parenting. Fans of Westworld will especially enjoy the episode Metalhead, in which robot dogs with guns in their arms are hunting down a group of humans in a desolate landscape. If you want something a bit more uplifting, then check out the decade-hopping episode San Junipero, which looks at the pros and cons of simulated reality technology. Even though some seasons have received more acclaim than others, the show still has something for everyone. Watchmen, 2019. Watchmen is another sci-fi show that bears similarities to Westworld. This Emmy-winning sequel to the groundbreaking 1986 comic book miniseries by writer Alan Moore and artist Dave Gibbons is set 34 years later and follows Angela Abar, Regina King, a detective in the Tulsa Police Department full of masked officers, who unearths a massive conspiracy involving a white supremacist group called the 7th Cavalry. Westworld and Watchmen may look different enough, but they actually have a lot in common. Mainly, both are slow-burn sci-fi/mysteries that use their fantasy concepts as metaphors for real-world issues. Westworld uses robots as metaphors for how the upper class takes advantage of those below them, while Westworld uses superheroes as a metaphor for racism in America. Since Watchmen is only 9 episodes, you should also watch another critically acclaimed HBO show from the same creator called The Leftovers. Firefly, 2002. Firefly is a cult classic sci-fi/western for fans of Westworld. Set in a future where humans have left Earth and terraformed other planets, Firefly follows Captain Malcolm Reynolds, Nathan Fillion, and his crew of well-meaning misfits as they travel across the galaxy taking jobs and fighting enemy factions. Even though Firefly is more lighthearted and less contemplative than Westworld, the former is still tons of fun and features plenty of engaging character banter. Even though Firefly was cancelled after one season, the universe was expanded upon with a feature film and mini comic runs. Game of Thrones, 2011 to 2019. Even though Game of Thrones is an insanely popular show, we're including it on this list anyway. For those who somehow haven't watched Game of Thrones, this 8-season adaptation of the yet-to-be-finished series of novels by George R.R. Martin takes place in the fictional world of Westeros and revolves around several noble families as they fight for control over the almighty Iron Throne. Game of Thrones may not be science fiction, but Westworld would not exist without it. Much like the latter, the former is an HBO series with high production value, large set pieces, and an ever-growing cast of characters. Both shows are also geared towards mature audiences as they each feature plenty of sex and violence. While the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones were disappointing, they shouldn't take away from the show's overall impact on television and pop culture. The Expanse, 2015 to 2022. The Expanse is another sci-fi show that bears a striking resemblance to Westworld. Based on the award-winning novels by James S. A. Corey, the show is set in the 24th century in which humans have colonized the solar system. While the UN and military control Earth and Mars, respectively, the less fortunate individuals are forced to live in low-quality space stations along the asteroid belt. However, several characters from different factions soon discover a conspiracy that could threaten humanity. Much like Westworld, The Expanse features slow-burn storytelling and deals with class warfare in a fresh and innovative manner. There's also a noir element to the show since one of the main characters is a grizzled detective who investigates a case in the Ceres station of the asteroid belt. Even with its deliberately slow pace, The Expanse still lasted long enough to keep audiences hooked for 6 seasons. The Good Place, 2016 to 2020. Seeing The Good Place on this list may come as a shock, but it actually has more similarities to Westworld than you might realize. The Emmy-nominated comedy series follows a woman named Eleanor, Kristen Bell, who has just died and is sent to a heaven of sorts called The Good Place. However, Eleanor is in truth not a good person and must work with her soulmate Chidi, William Jackson Harper, to become a better person and stay in the good place. Like Westworld, The Good Place is a show where you learn more about this artificial existence with every subsequent entry. It also just so happens to be very funny and might even teach you how to be a better person along the way. Not to mention each episode is less than 30 minutes, so the series isn't hard to binge.